How's it going, guys? It's Johnny Beard here, and welcome to Streamer Stories Podcast. This is episode 7, where I speak to streamers about their gaming history as children and their streaming history right now, as we are living it right now. So here it is, episode 7. We are introducing Pants. Here he is. How's it going, sir? You okay?
How are you? I'm doing well.
Are we calling you Pants or xPantsx?
So pants is what I go by. It's what I've always gone by. The X's are silent. And
Yes.
it's just one of those things that it'll always come up as something to laugh at in Twitch or on like Twitter, wherever, like anywhere the handle's applicable.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love your username. I love your username, and I more than your username, though, I love your shirt, my friend. As always.
So I went out of my way to make sure this shirt was clean for today because this is it. I feel like this shirt and the just collection of like funny and really loud gaudy shirts that I have has really become a big staple of the of the channel.
Absolutely.
As just something to look forward to is like, oh, well, what kind of shirt do we have? Bananas today? Do we have tacos? Do we have I have one that has donuts. And now that we're getting into fall and winter coming up, I have a whole slew of holiday shirts that are just ready and waiting.
I can't wait to see them. So yeah, please give Pants a follow, guys. But we will go to Twitch at the end, but we're going to start right from the beginning, my friend. So can you tell me, what was your first memories of video games like when you were a kid?
So ironically enough, as a kid, I didn't play a lot of games. I was mostly an outdoor kid, but my parents played a lot of games. My friends played a lot of games. So a lot of my really early childhood like gaming was all secondhand exposure. Whether it was I'm gonna go to the neighbor's house after school and we're gonna play outside for a few hours, and then once it starts to get dark, we're gonna go inside and play Mario Party on like the N64,
Nice.
or if I'm playing one of like I would say this is probably like the biggest like standout moment in like early gaming was my dad had the original NES, and we had Super Dodgeball.
Oh, okay.
I think, or that might have been for the Super Nintendo actually. I'm not sure, but it was like a really terrible dodgeball game where you had all these international teams, and you could like run from the back of the court all the way up to the front and like spike the ball or whip the ball at somebody, and it would do like this wacky animation, and it was just such a funny thing to me because you'd have some where it's like the one that jumps out to my head was like it would like throw, and then it would just kind of like up and down across the screen and just hit something maybe. And it's just like it's such a silly thing. It's like it still didn't, I think, kind of like grasp in my mind. It's like, why are we playing a video game version of this? Like we could go outside and do this.
Right.
But I think that's probably like my introduction to games would definitely be admittedly a lot of secondhand gaming.
Yeah, that's great though. I mean, again, so your parents had games and your neighbors had
Yep.
games. So do you know what your parents played? Do you remember?
Yeah. A lot of Zelda, especially, and like now Zelda's definitely in my top 10 or 15 franchises to always, that'll always just be like, yeah, I'll play that. But I remember I'd watch my dad play through like The Legend of Zelda, and I remember my mom was telling me when I was young that she would sit down with like graph paper and she would graph out the dungeons and like map out the dungeons
Wow.
while my dad was playing it, so
That's amazing.
like without realizing it, they were like practicing speed running the game because they would write down the dungeons and like mark like, okay, here's where there's a key for this. This is the secret room over here. And it's like, okay, I see that. Like that's a fun thing, and Like my mom doesn't play too many games now, but my dad is probably playing Xbox right now.
Excellent. God, so your parents were OG speedrunners. That is so cool.
I think without even realizing it too, which is even funnier to me.
But that's amazing, though. That's a beautiful thing, though, isn't it? There's not many. I don't certainly in my case. I don't remember that many parents in those days playing games together. Really.
Sure.
So that's amazing. I love to hear that. So that's incredible. So in terms of video games, so like you said, you use the like the logistics logic really that you're like, why am I playing a game version of this? I'll play the actual version of it in real life IRL. So
Yeah,
was that like a rebellious thing? Do you think, or was it just
not
not interested?
maybe not necessarily a rebellious thing. I think I just didn't understand I didn't understand the concept of like let's do a pretend thing when it's
Mm.
like we could just do the real thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that boils down to at the time, a lot of the games that we had were games like older games like Tecmo football game, or the Tecmo football game and stuff like that, where it's like here's a video game version of a sport that I can go outside and play this.
yeah.
And that honestly, that kind of still applies to me. Like if someone's like, "Oh, are you gonna play Madden?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna play Madden." Like I'll go outside. Um, but I think as games got a little bit more unrealistic, I was like, "Yeah, okay, I can play this."
Mm.
And it's like you see, like again, like Mario Party, like with the N64, I think was like my gateway into like actually playing more like fantasy based titles.
Yeah,
So it's just an interesting like thing to look back at now where it's like
yeah.
I'm not gonna play a fishing video game and now I'm like that game's got fishing in it. Let's play that.
that's that's a new meme, that isn't it? Everyone's like, "Has it got 10 out of 10 game?"
Honestly, I hate that it's such a meme, but it's so true. Like oh, Fantasy Star Online has fishing. Yeah, I'll play that. Like okay.
It's so funny.
It's like, do I want to play Bass Tournament 2021? No, I don't. I don't want to play a game that's just fishing. But if you tell me that I can play a game about not fishing that has fishing, I'm in.
But it's true. It's true, and it does actually. There's so many different games with different variations of playing said fishing game as well.
Oh, sure. And that's you see like Stardew has fishing and Stardew's fishing is arguably the hardest fishing I've ever played.
Okay.
But like you can fish in just every genre of game at this point. I feel like outside of like battle royales
Yeah, I was gonna say Call of
and
Duty's good at fishing.
and like, hey, look, if Activision wants me to buy the next Call of Duty game, all they need to do is add fishing.
Activision, you heard him. You heard him.
Is if my $80 is worth it to you, I'm gonna need fishing.
So you mentioned the NES, you mentioned the SNES. By the way, just actually on that, because that's something else that's just come into my like Twitter feed recently. You
Mhm.
called it the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Is that a modern thing to call it the NES and the SNES? I've heard on Twitter recently that this is the case.
Um, I think like I've heard them used pretty much interchangeably.
Yeah,
Honest like the SNES and like NES, it's like those are those are normal to me. Like if somebody says those words to me, I'll understand exactly
yeah,
what
yeah.
they're talking about. Unless someone like walks up to me on the street and just goes SNES, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Like if
What are you
someone
talking
just
about?
approaches me and shouts it at me, I'm gonna say you're crazy. Go
Did
away,
you
please.
sneeze?
But yeah, like contextually, like they both make sense to me,
Yeah.
and I think it comes from I don't know. It could be a like an ease of access thing. It's like
Mm.
it's one syllable. It's just easier to say.
Yeah.
Or just the different circles. So like if you have a lot of speedrunners in your general circle,
Mm.
uh, you might see people refer to it as SNES and NES
Mm.
over the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. But it could also it could just be a regional thing as well.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry, I did take a tangent there. So you grew up on the NES and the SNES, and then you mentioned the Nintendo 64. So you were Nintendo based growing up,
Um,
if applicable.
so so yes and no. Um, Again, because the bulk of my gaming was secondhand, I was at the mercy of who had what around me.
Hmm.
The first console that I owned was a hand-me-down Xbox.
Right. Okay.
And that was like I think my dad had gotten the 360, and I got his hand-me-down Xbox. And then I think shortly after that, or like right around the same time, I think I got a GameCube.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and I remember that was like the be all end all, like stereotypical Christmas of like every day I was like, Mom, I want a GameCube for Christmas. This is what I want. She was like, No, we're not doing that. And then Christmas morning, I'm like, and suddenly I have a GameCube in front of me, and I'm like, let's go. This is it.
Excellent.
Um, but even then, like a lot of my like now I'm just an absolute heathen when it comes to games. I'm like, oh, I have to be doing something in 10 hours. It's like, all right, I can sneak 9.5 more hours of playing this game in, and then I can sleep for 8 minutes, and then I'll go.
Happy days. Oh man. So what were your first games on the GameCube and the Xbox then?
Um, I like Halo.
Yeah.
Halo was a huge title for me. Um, Super Mario Sunshine, and Mario 64 were some really big ones. And I I guess like Mario Kart. I think Double Dash on the GameCube, right? Double Dash game was double.
I think it was. Ooh, I
I
think it was GameCube. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Double Dash was on the GameCube, but Mario Kart Double Dash started like kickstarted my strange like sleeper agent love for racing games
Yeah.
without me realizing it. Um, because eventually I left behind Nintendo after the Wii. I ended up leaving behind Nintendo, and I went full force into Xbox, where like I have a Switch now.
Hmm.
I had a 3DS, and I played a lot of those handhelds and things like that. Like those were super great. But console gaming is like I know everyone poo-poos on console gaming because PC gaming is just better. But there's something like really satisfying about coming home, turning on my TV, sitting down on the couch, and just like holding a controller in my hand
Yeah.
and not being tied to a computer all day is great. Like this past week, I just because I'm at this computer for so many hours in a
Yeah.
row,
Yeah.
like sometimes it's like I just need to not sit right here and look at this screen. And I'm just like, I need to go sit in a different room for for an afternoon, and it's nice to be able to just kind of like leave my computer desk
Yeah.
and just go like play something on console or and like I played Stadia games. I have a Founders Stadia controller because I was like this is going to be great. And it's okay. It's not for me, but it's okay.
Hmm.
Um so I'm definitely I'd like to I definitely I derailed a little bit there, but
No. 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 It's fine. No. No.
um I like to try as many different kinds of things as I can now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think the having Xbox and GameCube really early on was great because I got the best of the two like farthest ends of the spectrum where like
Yeah.
Xbox had really like fast-paced like action games and they had lots of stealth games and things like that. And then Nintendo had like casual games and party games,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and things like that. So I really got a good full, like a full taste of like, here's everything that gaming can have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, did you do much online play with the Xbox at
Um, Not really. So, I have a sister, and we had one rule growing up when we were playing Halo specifically is that we just couldn't kill each other,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that made that made competitive play much harder because we didn't really have access to online for gaming at least. So we can only play against each other. But for Halo, like, okay, the rule is we can't kill each other. It's like, okay, well, we can't play that against each other. Um, so I really never, I don't really think I touched like competitive gaming, probably until like I would say like 2000, 2005.
Right. Okay.
And that again was a secondhand experience playing like Rainbow Six with my dad, or like playing like the early like Call of Duty games again, like playing them with my dad,
Hmm.
where it's like he'd play around and he'd say, "Okay, I gotta go run and do this, or I gotta go start making dinner. Like just play, like finish this round." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, like I'll play this." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm terrible at this, but it's fun."
Yeah. Okay, that's excellent. And I must say, obviously, you haven't once mentioned Sony PlayStation in this. So was that something that just didn't come to mind?
Um, it's just there's not really any. I would say every single game that I've ever played on PlayStation, that I care to play again in the future, can be boiled down to three titles.
Okay,
And that's Tomba, which is fantastic,
great show. Yeah.
Klonoa, which is also fantastic, and Aggressive Inline, which is just Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but it's rollerblades instead. Um,
But yeah,
and like I just like I've played all those games, and I don't know, they're fun, but I don't know. I've never had like a real connection with any like Sony
hmm,
games. Like we had a PlayStation 2, but I'm pretty sure the PS2, and like I have the mini PlayStation 1
yeah, yeah.
that they released like a few years ago. And like I think I booted that up. I think I played like one game, maybe two games on it, and I went, I don't really like any of these games. Like it never like they never really clicked for me. Because I think it boils down to the same general thing today, where Sony has like the PlayStation has such great single player titles
Hmm.
and the storytelling titles and things like that. Like now you look at like Horizon Zero Dawn and what's it, The Last of Us and the God of War franchise. Like all those games are really, really great single player titles. And a lot of those games are just like they're lost on me. And I don't know, I don't really know why.
Hmm.
It's not that I don't like story games. I think the social aspect of games and the competitive aspect of games now, those two things are really what keeps me in gaming.
Yeah,
Like uh
that's great.
like the people, anyone who's ever seen me stream when I'm doing something competitive me versus casual games me is so different.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's interesting to see the I didn't really realize it until you pointed it out that
yeah.
like, yeah, we just said no PlayStation.
Yeah, but I mean, but most people, like I think probably 80% probably of people who played games probably at some point had a PlayStation, isn't it? So it's
Hmm.
almost it's almost unfathomable to think that people may not actually want a PlayStation or don't play it, you know. So
Sure.
I thought I'd just ask the question really, but like you said, that it's quite an interesting dynamic you've got there going because you do like to play competitive games or you like to play casual games. You've got like a competitive edge which
Mhm.
explains the sports background, obviously, as IRL, situation. But then you got the chilled aspect of yourself as well. So it makes perfect sense to me.
I think so. I think it's a pretty healthy balance,
Hmm.
honestly, because I've fallen in love with roguelikes like everyone else has in the last 2 years, and I could probably count on both hands how many different roguelikes that I constantly want to play.
Hmm.
But on the other side of the coin, like I can only list maybe like two or three games that are competitive that I really want to play, and nine times out of ten, I'm going to play those competitive games. Um, and like casual games are more fun, and that was realistically speaking the biggest reason that I started streaming. Um, not to make it, not to quit my job and become an internet entertainer or anything like that. Just to get myself to stop playing the same three games every day and explore new games. And now, since I started, I think we finished probably 30 or 40 games, and
Nice. Yeah.
it doesn't stand out as a big milestone for a lot of people, but I think like last month, maybe either last month or just at the end of July, we like I broke the 100,000 achievement points mark, which was like that was a big thing for me, um, because again, it's that little bit of even for a casual game, it's like you tell me you're going to give me points for doing well,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to do everything I can, like and it's fun. I talk with people, say, oh, well, I completed this game, and this game
Mm.
in this week, and I'm like, all right, well. I'll be right back. I have to go beat all three of those games now. Like,
Very competitive then. But that explains that. Actually, it's just crazy to think that again. I've gotten to this episode with yourself, Pants, and we've never talked about achievements like in any of my previous chats. So let's talk about that. So yeah, you like achievement? Do you find yourself being a completionist? Do you want to get the platinum achievement?
yeah, so I there's no and it almost makes me jealous of PlayStation players because they have their
Sorry,
platinums.
platinum.
They have
Yeah.
like they have like a really cool term for it where it's like, "Oh yeah, I platinumed this game." It's like, "Damn, I don't have anything for that." Like Xbox doesn't have anything for that where it's like, "Oh, I got all the achievements." It's like it's so like ho hum boring. Um but yeah, I have two websites that are bookmarked on my computer, and it's one of them is True Achievements, which shows you like it's like the game facts of today
Hmm.
or of the past. Um, and then the other one is I don't know what the exact name is for it, but it just tells you how long it takes you to beat a full game,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah. I
it's
think I've
like
seen it.
based on like okay the last 80 people that beat this game said they completed 100% in 2 hours. So I'm like, all right. So I'll look through and I'm like, ah, there's a new indie title and it looks like I can 100% it in 5 hours. It's like, well, I got 5 hours. And I'm
Yeah.
like, even if it's terrible, I would say uh it's a little bit of a tangent, but the single worst game that I played ever was a game that I played only for achievements because I saw that the 100% achievement clear for it
Mm.
was less than an hour, and I played it, and it's called One Leaves.
One
And I don't want to
leaves.
spoil I don't want to spoil the ending, but boy, is it bad. It's really just horrible.
All right.
And
That's a good question. What is the? I've never asked that question. So again, what is the worst game you've played? I need to ask that a few more times. I think it's a good
it's
question.
it's definitely that. That's the worst game
The
I've
worst
ever
game you've ever
played.
played. But let's go. Let's flip that around. So what's the best game you've ever played and why?
So, the best game I've ever played, I feel I have a little bit of a bias. Uh, I realistically only play about like I said, three games outside of stream, and one of them is Destiny 2.
Hmm.
And I think at this point I'm like 4 or 5 thousand hours into this game,
Oh wow.
and I have tattoos from the game, and I can just play it all day every day, and it's like it's a game that every time I get shot in the face, I go, I hate this game, and then I play another round, and it like I find myself constantly going, why do I play this game? And then 2 seconds later, I get a drop for like an armor piece that I was chasing for 2 months, and I go, that's why I'm playing this game. It's like it's an infinitely satisfying game to me, and I'm sure there are better games out there on whatever rubric people want to use, but like for me personally, I think it's probably my favorite game.
Hmm.
I would
Yeah.
say a close second to that would be the Animal Crossing franchise
Ah, great
as a whole.
games. Yeah, great games.
Because people say that the only reason Animal Crossing did well, New Horizons, is because it launched about a month into the global pandemic.
No, no, no.
That game it would have done well no matter what. And I granted I think the pandemic helped boost its sales,
Hmm.
but you know what? I'm gonna when we wrap up with this, my Switch is right behind me, and I'm gonna boot it up, and I'm gonna go talk to my villagers, and then I'm gonna save my game, and I'm gonna boot up Destiny, and I'm gonna play that for the rest of my life.
Just avoid Rossetti. Whatever you do, just avoid Rossetti.
Yeah, they nixed him. He's gone.
Is he gone?
Yeah, they
I've
got
not
rid of
played
him.
New Horizons, so
So I don't think you can like they just it doesn't like I'm pretty sure if you you have I don't think you can really like leave and get Resetti anymore. I've
oh
never seen it.
what?
Maybe I'm also just a responsible adult. I've grown as a person and
Maybe.
I save my game and turn it off. But like you can just put your Switch to sleep and walk away from it. And when you turn it on, like if you wake it up the next day, um it just restarts the day and it goes, "Hey, look, it's a new day." So maybe you have to like not save your game and like turn your Switch off. Not
Yeah.
like put it to sleep, just turn it off. But I've never seen him.
No. Oh man,
So
he was a big part of
it's,
I used to play New Leaf a lot, so he was a huge part of that.
mhm.
But yeah, what
I-
great games! Great games.
it's good. He's like a just a really good figurehead for the for kids to learn their responsibilities. And it's if you don't do your responsibilities, a horrible monster in overalls is going to come out of the ground and scream at you. It's like, oh, okay, that's a good life lesson.
Yeah, I mean, okay, here's an interesting question for you. I always like asking this question about Animal Crossing: is who's the main villain in Animal Crossing? Is it Rossetti or is it Tom Nook?
It's definitely not Tom Nook. Tom Nook's been done dirty. Uh, everyone hates Tom Nook. Tom Nook's done nothing wrong. The real villain, in Animal Crossing is actually Zipper.
Okay, yeah.
Um, Zipper T. Bunny, I believe is his name. He's the Easter equivalent character, but he's the actual villain of the whole game. And anyone who's played, especially New Leaf or New Horizon, anyone who's played that during April that has experienced the Easter event, they know the truth that he's the he's the villain.
I don't know anything about him. I'm gonna have to look this up. So how much online games do you play now? Do you play
So
much
now
online?
I almost exclusively play online now.
Hmm.
Between between Animal Crossing being online, Destiny is a completely online service.
Yeah.
Before we got on here, I was playing Minecraft with the Mounting, if you're familiar with him, and some of his friends. But even down to like even like silly things like going and playing like Jackbox games.
Oh, great.
Um, and I know you do a lot of community stuff with Jackbox. I'm gonna try to get to one of those eventually.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it.
It's always hard, and this is a trap that I've set for myself that I don't know how it happened, but everyone that I'm like friends with now, via Twitch specifically, like all of the friends that I've made, almost all of them are overseas friends.
Yeah, we talked
And
about this, haven't we? Yeah.
it was because I work from home right now, uh, when someone goes live at 8 a.m. for me because it's 1 p.m. for them,
Hmm.
um, it's great because I can watch it. I start my work day and I can chit chat in their stream while I'm waking up and like getting ready and starting my work day.
Hmm.
But it's almost bittersweet. Like one of the biggest reasons that I didn't want to go back to my office isn't because I don't want to be in my office, is because I'm gonna lose all of the connections and friendships that I've like grown over the last 18 months on Twitch, where it's like, okay, well, I don't get back to so normally like under normal circumstances I wouldn't be home for on a work day. Right now it's let's see, it'd be almost 4 o'clock for me. I wouldn't be home for another hour and a half, almost 2 hours. So it's like, think of 2 hours from now. your time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like that's when I'm just getting home, and it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna get home. I want to change. I want to eat dinner, and then I'm gonna settle in to play games. By that, almost everyone that I've made friends with, it's 1 a.m.,
yeah,
2 a.m., and it's just like, well, like I look at my friends list and like a lot of my following lists and stuff. After maybe 5 p.m., most of the channels that I follow are offline, and it's like, well,
oh man,
uh, that's like if when I inevitably go back and like I'm gonna have to figure out like, okay, how do I what can I do to maintain these like all my connections and friends that I've made through uh all the different communities I'm in, like between all the people that I know through you and Sue, like you guys, and then I met Charlie through you guys. I met Brutal Sue through you guys, Mrs. Spalding, um, all sorts of people through you guys, and all the people that I've met through Matt's community, and all the people like that. Like, oh well, I just was like, okay, how do I like how do you handle that? Like, oh, all the people that I made friends with the last year, it's like, well,
yeah,
they've all disappeared because time exists. It's like,
oh,
well, it's definitely bittersweet, but
yeah,
technology's great. Like when you think about it,
yeah, yeah. It is.
um, like we're having a video chat. You're
Yeah,
however many thousands of miles away, and
very true.
it's like,
It's
all right,
cra-
that's cool. And like, and nothing stops me from looking at my phone at the same time. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna text someone that's 20 miles away. I'm gonna send an email to someone who's in a different country. It's like, all right, well,
yeah,
so it's
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 crazy.
bittersweet, like I said, to lose all those immediate friendships. Um, but I'm not really losing much because
Yeah, we still
the
got each
internet.
other, mate. Yeah, exactly, and we will still keep in touch. Absolutely, 100%. But yeah, the pandemic has a lot to answer for. That's for sure. Um,
Absolutely. That's like one of my best friends. So it was funny you were saying you were appreciating my handle of xPantsx. Um, anyone that's been in my chat knows that one of my regulars in chat is my friend Sweaters,
yes.
who is aptly named in a similar fashion to my name. Um, and I've known him since probably 2010, and he lives overseas as well, and he's one of my longest online friends.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's it's interesting to me. Like when I think about it, when I really think about it, I have friends that I see in real life regularly that I've only been friends with for 5 or 6 years, and it's like, well, I have some friends that I know from online that I've been friends with for a third of my life.
Yeah. Yes. I was reading something. I don't think it. I think it's like we got the Xbox 360 or the Xbox conversations. Like I
Mhm.
remember two people. I remember seeing a story somewhere about two people who were mates and used to play all sorts of games online, and then one of them passed away.
Mhm.
And they didn't know about it for like months and months and months, and then all of a sudden, like I think it was like a sibling or a parent got logged on and went, "Hi, just letting you know this person's passed away," and obviously it broke them. It absolutely broke them.
Sure,
These relationships are real, even though obviously, like you said, we're thousands of miles away. These relationships are real.
sure. And think about it. So how many people in our general age bracket were grew up and were told don't talk to people on the internet? Like
Yeah,
it's like, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but 80% of my friends are people from the internet now. And it's like
yeah. How
it's
times have
it's
changed.
it's funny to think about that. Like you don't really put two and two together like that, where it's like okay, you look at Halloween, it's like you spend 11 months out of the year, don't take candy from strangers. All of October, go get as much candy from strangers as you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's like the purge, but
yeah,
the candy purge.
that's exactly what it is.
Oh man. So sorry, I know we're way going on tangent here, but it's
Oh, that's
great stuff. I love no, it's always great having a chat with you, Pants. I love you to death, you know that. But
Mhm.
tell us, do you have like a Sorry, yeah, go back to games. What are you currently playing right now? You kind of obviously touched on a couple of things already, but
So right now, so I've been back and forth because I fell into a trap of I started 3 games back to back that are all the exact same style of game,
Right.
and and the problem is not that I don't want to play them, it's that they're all very long play games.
Right. Yeah.
And so my comfort game is I'm gonna play Destiny. I'm gonna boot it up and just whatever happens happens. But like I said before, for stream, I try to not play Destiny as much as I can to remind myself that other games exist. So I started playing Bug Fables.
Okay. Yeah.
Bug
Yeah.
Fables is great fun. It's almost like to a T Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, except your bugs.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of bug related puns and things like that. The humor is like pretty meh, but it's a fun game to play. My problem is that it's long games like that. Um, I lose interest in playing on stream because they're very story heavy,
Yeah.
and because I don't stream as often as I want to, I have to really like remember like, okay, well, we played this game 2 days ago. What happened 2 days ago? And then
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what did I want to set for myself? And then so I shelved that game for now, because I'm at a point where I just need to grind out some levels and get a little bit more strong, and then I can pick back up the game. So I started playing Chris Tales,
Oh,
which
okay.
is I don't even have words to explain how great this game is.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
uses such a unique system that I've never seen another game do, where it splits your screen into thirds, and your left third is the past, your center third is the present, and your right third is the future.
Right. Okay. Wow.
And you have to solve like some of the different puzzles are go like flip over to the past and plant a seed and then jump it to the future, and that seed will grow, and that grows vines so you can climb up the like over a wall.
Right.
Or you have to go to the future and talk to someone whose house was destroyed to find out what destroyed it, so then you can go back to the present and stop that. Um, and the same thing goes for the combat system. It's like a very Final Fantasy styled like turn-based combat, but it's time-based. So you
Mm-hmm.
can you can slow an enemy and they'll move back in attack order, and things like that. But you can you can apply poison to something and then send them to the future, and they take the time travel to the future's worth of poison damage all at once.
Right. Oh, wow.
Or
Okay. This
you
is
can
crazy.
Yeah, or you can like send creatures to the past, and let's say it's you're fighting like some kind of like a wolf or something like that. You send it to the past, now it's a pup and
Yeah.
its attack is much lower and things like that.
That's
So
so clever.
it's really intricate. You have to really think about how to do things where it's like let's apply water to this guy's armor and then send him to the future so his armor rusts and it
Hmm.
breaks his defense. And I'm like, I would never in a million years think of that on my own if the game wasn't like, here's how you use the time stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That is.
Um,
That's incredible.
but outside of that, like the art is beautiful, the music's beautiful, the story's pretty good. Um, and it's just like I can't really like I have no bad things to say about it.
Hmm.
And like right now those are what I'm playing. Psychonauts 2 did just come out for Game Pass.
Yes.
So that'll probably be what we play next. Even if we only play a little bit of it, but then I have just an endless amount of roguelikes. Sometimes like if I find that I'm not having fun with a game because I'm trying to be like on while I'm playing it and it's taking away from my experience of the game, we just flip games midstream and we play a roguelike or something like that where I can focus more on chat and responding to conversations that are going on. And we have a lot of times where chat takes a serious turn And
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I love a good meme. Um, I'm uncontrollable when it comes to jokes and memes, and sometimes it's interesting. Someone will come into chat, be it someone that we're familiar with or someone who we haven't seen in a long time, and they're
Mm.
having a bad night for whatever reason, and we just start having a more serious chat, and sometimes it just turns into serious time. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna play really casually. We're not really gonna focus on the game anymore. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's interesting, and I think that's kind of one of the big things. And again, I'm going on a tangent.
That's okay. No, it's fine.
The coming back to all the different friends and connections and things like that that I've made. Um, having such a strong group of people that I can count on as a support system and the community that can also look at us or look to us rather as a support system.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know in your Discord you have a mental wellness channel.
Yes.
Um, I think that's something more Discords really need
Yeah.
because people are especially people I feel like a lot of people who really spend a lot of time on Twitch and play a lot of games and things like that don't take their mental health seriously.
Yeah. I agree.
Um, and it's like oh okay well am I having a bad day because this game is hard? Am I having a bad day because something else happened? Who knows? But it's nice to be able to look at like one of the discords you're in and or all the discords you're in depending on who's where and what kind of support you need from people and just being like hey here's a problem that I'm having with life and I've never been in a Discord where someone's come forward with a problem and people haven't turned around and been right there to help them and it's how do you how do you turn around and say that like this isn't a good like it's not a good thing and it's community is such an important thing and
Yeah. It
I
certainly is.
think it rolls back to the initial question of 2 hours ago of uh playing online games is like playing online games like it's stuff like that like we were just having a conversation recently about toxicity in PvP games and competitive games where people are being aggressed at, I guess, simply for just playing a game. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh well, you didn't do as good as I wanted you to do.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be the biggest hypocrite ever if I said I haven't said that my teammates are trash. That's like, these teammates are garbage. We lost because of them. Like, it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to reach out to someone on your team and
Yeah.
message them with some kind of hostility, and that's so strange to me.
Yeah, it's interesting
Um,
you mention that because I mean, yeah, I mean, there's that again. There's that culture, isn't there? Like, I used to play a lot of Left 4 Dead. I still do to this day, and yeah, you just get kicked out because you might have got caught by something.
yeah,
You know, oh, that's
it's
it. We're gonna
like
kick that guy out. He sucks. You know, type of thing.
yeah, it's like what? It's like we're playing a game.
Yeah,
Like you're pressed over pixels. Like
yeah,
like we don't like who wants that? And it's definitely I think that's one of the biggest things that almost kind of pushes me back to playing single player games. Is it's like I'm tired of seeing people be so like hypercritical because again, it's one thing to turn to someone in your team and say like someone that like you're in a chat with and say, "Oh man, these teammates are bad. These teammates suck." Whatever, but to it's like I'm gonna message this stranger and say something super rude to them. It's
hmm
like, why? Why do you want to do that?
yeah, exactly. Do you think that's? Do you reckon that's partly the reason why battle royals are so popular now? Like the likes of like Fortnite and stuff like that.
I think honestly I think so. And I think when you look at it, when you look at like look at Warzone or Apex or any of those games, and look at what people are interested in when you look at like YouTube or TikTok or Twitter or Instagram stories and things like that. People only care about death comms in those games because it's you got the kill, you got the drop on somebody because they were sloppy and you killed them, and then with in a fit of rage they're screaming into their headset or whatever it is, and it's like someone went out of their way to record that
Yeah.
person's reaction, their visceral reaction to getting shot in a game where the objective is to not get shot. It's like, and then they took that and they were like, this is content now. It's like that person's upset.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not content.
Yeah.
Um, and like, don't get me wrong, some of them are funny. Like you see someone where it's like, oh well, like someone says something funny, or you see some like a big streamer will kill somebody who intentionally let them kill them so they could say something inappropriate on their stream, and nothing like super vulgar, but just like something to make people laugh. And like that's I think a different story. But when you look at like battle royales and even games like Rocket League that are super competitive, like even if in like your quick play where it's not competitive, it's not ranked, those are some of the most competitive and aggressive people that I find is like when I play unranked like warm-ups, and
Yeah.
it's like these people are cursing and being rude and vulgar, and it's like, is this how you want to treat new people coming into your community?
Yeah.
Like you like look at, I mean, honestly, look at Warzone. Warzone's got nothing but cheaters in it right now, and Activision's not doing a lot, it seems, to fix it. And so everyone just stopped playing Warzone. And the only people that play it now are people that are cheaters and people who are just trying to make content out of finding cheaters. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, well that your whole game is a meme now. Like there's nothing there except for toxic players and people baiting toxic players.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting, and I'm kind of glad that it seems like battle royales are dying down
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. I'm definitely ready for battle royales to be over.
Yeah.
Um,
I, I,
but
I,
that's just me.
yeah, I don't know if it will do. I just think that they're too popular, and the more people that play them, I think they're here for a while, to be honest. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I I'm just I think as long as I think as long as there are competitive people, I think battle royales are always going to stick around. But I think we're going to see a plateau point where people will just stop
hmm.
playing whatever the next. It's like whatever the next Fortnite is,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So everyone went from PUBG or from H1Z1 to PUBG to Fortnite, then back to PUBG, then back to Fortnite. Then they all went to Warzone or whatever Call of Duty Battle Royale was before Warzone. Now they're all on Warzone, and then they all shifted at once to Apex. And it's like, wow, that's a mighty shift to see. I would say 80% of their community for Warzone went to Apex. I think that's a fair estimate. And I don't think there's that many BRs that are coming out now.
yeah,
I think people have kind of figured out that like everyone's gonna try to throw their hat in the ring. So a lot of FPS games are just adapting a BR as like a side thing.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I think standalone BRs are probably getting very close to the dead category.
hmm.
And we'll see more games like regular FPS games that also have a battle royale mode. But we're not gonna. I don't think we're ever gonna see another game like Fortnite that or Apex where it's just a battle royale. That's gonna hold such a significant market share that those games do now.
Hmm. Okay, reining it in a bit. If you were stuck on a remote island and you could only take 3 games with you, what would they be? I think we probably would know one of them, but maybe it would be different. Maybe because you got to
So
think of the remote setting. So
so because I'm on a remote island, and I think we had some similar answers. I think we had a very similar conversation about this maybe a month ago about what games I would take um per platform. So definitely I would definitely take Animal Crossing with me.
yeah,
Um, Believe it or not, I would probably not take Destiny with me
would you not?
because I don't think so. Because as much as I like playing that game by myself, um, I one of my biggest drives is the competitive aspect of that, getting things that other people might not have yet, or helping other people get those things.
Yeah,
So it's like the competitive and cooperative side of it. So like playing it by myself for the rest of the time, like meh, maybe not. So Animal Crossing is a definite. Honestly, I need some kind of solitaire. Solitaire is my favorite like
nice. Yeah.
passive game. Um, and a third game would I'd probably take like SSX Tricky
Oh, what
because
a
that game
game!
is just fun to play and the soundtrack is just terrible, but it's like a
What?
good terrible.
It's great. I love that soundtrack.
It's not great.
Oh, you don't
It's
like you're not a Razel fan?
no, it's not good. But it's fun to listen to. Um, there's I don't think there's a single track in that game that you're not gonna bob your head to while you're snowboarding down a pinball machine worth of snow, and it's like it's
Oh,
fun. It's just a fun game.
oh, it's so good. I'm glad you mentioned
Um,
it. Glad you mentioned it. It's one of my favorite games on the PS2. Um, yeah. So you kind of touched on it before, but can you elaborate a bit more on what made you consider streaming and tell me about your favorite stream memories?
sure, absolutely. Um, so one of the biggest reasons to stream for me to start streaming. So I started in February of 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
And originally when I started, I had literally no setup. I had no PC. I streamed through the native Twitch app on my Xbox,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
on my Xbox One. So I had no face cam. I had no PC for OBS, no capture card. It was just my Xbox playing out in whatever horrible compressed quality it wanted to. And I had that, and I had um, my phone open for playback so I could read chat if I had it. And I don't really think I did. But one of the biggest reasons for me to start streaming, I think at the time in 2019 when I started, I think that at that point the concept was kind of like, yeah, I just want to like at that point I think it was kind of like I want to play video games for money because everyone ultimately just wants to play video games for money. Um, but um, it got to a point where I just like having a little bit more structure. I like being held accountable for following a schedule.
Yeah.
And I like being able to break myself away from the same 2 or 3 games that I play every day. Like I said earlier, we've played through probably somewhere between I would say 40 and 60 titles. Um, some of them maybe not start to finish, but we've played through them and like especially with having like Game Pass available, it's like, all
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna play every game that Game Pass is like, here you go, here's a free game, here's 5 new free games. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, I'll play all 5 of these today, and if they're good, they're good. If they're bad, I'll keep playing them. But
I've always
having that
thought.
structure.
Sorry, I always thought
Oh,
that
go
would
ahead.
be a really good idea. That someone basing a stream, Twitch or YouTube or whatever, on free pass games, either on
Yeah,
Xbox or Epic Games or whatever. Right?
sure.
I've never understood why that's not been a more popular concept. I don't know why.
I think because there's just so many. So like I use I have a aside from like you can look at the actual Game Pass app, but I have a bookmark again. It's called Game Pass Counter. Right now, and it shows you how many games there are active on Game Pass. So right now there's 478 individual titles, or I'm not sorry, unique titles
Hmm.
on Game Pass, and one of the coolest features is that you can hit the choose a game for me button,
Oh
and
wow.
it
Okay.
just picks one of those. I'm gonna round up, so one of those 500 games. It just picks one for you and says, "This is what you should play today." And then from there you can say no or sure. And sometimes I've done that once or twice for stream where I'm like, where it's like, I think we're gonna play whatever this tells us to play, and
Hmm.
I found some really fun games out of it, like games that I didn't think I would ever want to play, and then games that I was like, I've been waiting to play that forever.
Hmm.
Now that I think about it, I actually kind of think that I might add like a channel point redemption to do
Yeah.
that. That might be fun. We play whatever the next stream is. We hit the random button, and then whatever it suggests to us, we play that next stream. That might be fun.
That's a good
We might
idea.
do more of that.
Yeah, do that. Do that. Because again, that comes down to again why I like you so much as a streamer, Pants, is that you've got this you've got a lovely chill atmosphere, and like you said,
I appreciate it.
you've got this great that because of that chill atmosphere, like you mentioned before, you got the mental health side of it. You got the seriousness. You got the okay. Let's go. We got the real talk now. Let's just go with that. And again, like you mentioned, you're a good advocate for mental health, but also you play unique titles. You do play unique titles, and again, I think that's one of my favorite things about you. So if I never know what you're gonna, apart from the obvious with Destiny,
Yeah.
I never know what you're gonna play. And yeah, tell us a bit about that.
I think one of the funniest games I've ever played was a recent game. It's called Second Extinction, I think is what it's called. Or it might have like a prefix title or something to it. But you're like it's almost like an Escape from Tarkov kind of survival game,
Hmm.
but all of the enemies are dinosaurs.
Right.
And
Okay.
and I didn't really know what I was doing because the game it's still in beta, and it plays like it's in beta, but some of the like the reactions between things that I experienced and things that chat saw or people that were lurking or weren't in a tab but they only heard the audio of I just got zapped by a dinosaur and someone went hold on and they had to tab back to see what that was about. Um, it's just it's just a lot of fun. Like you never know what kind of game you're gonna get with Game Pass.
Hmm.
We played one of the funniest commands to this date is in my channel is exclamation point Lenny, and it's just when you type it, it goes caw in the chat because we played a game called East Shade where you're an owl that's a painter. You're a traveling artist, and you wash up on shore, and at some point you encounter a young boy who's I believe he's like a deer maybe, and he's convinced that he's a bird and he wants to be a bird, and at one point um after you've finished his story, you can talk to him as an NPC, and when you talk to him, he just screeches like a crow or a hawk or something. And that's his whole thing. After you complete a story, so every time we'd go back, we'd run past him, we'd just do a quick we'd like it's like not even a beeline. It's like we're gonna detour to Lenny, get a Lenny caw, and then go back out. And it's such a silly thing. And like that's kind of like what you're saying. Like it's fun for me to play all these indie titles because I just never know what I'm gonna play.
Yeah.
Um, and I've played some games like Night in the Woods. Night in the Woods is a really just again, it's another game that I just have nothing bad to say about it. It's an adventure kind of game. It's kind of like a Life is Strange styled game, but it's got a really interesting art style to it and it deals with a lot of really heavy subjects and it's really kind of emotional. And I think there were two or three separate times in that game that as I'm playing it I'm like I don't like we might have to take a break from this game because it's a little too much right now.
Hmm.
And Wandersong is another just absolute awesome title that I don't think I would never in a million years think that I would play a game like that.
Hmm.
And you're a you're a traveling bard that has no superpowers and your superpower is your voice, and you sing to command stuff and change things, and you have to almost do like a Guitar Hero style like combat encounter for some different things where you're using matching radials to fight off ghosts and save different things, and there's a background story that's happening like a subplot, and it's so heavy, and it gets to a point where you have such tremendous feelings about what's happening in this game to these characters, and it's like this was an indie game made by four people,
Hmm.
and these four people made me feel every possible emotion under the sun,
Yeah, yeah,
in an 8 hour experience. And it's like, how do you how do you even how do you follow that with anything?
yeah.
Like, that was I remember I finished that game and I went to the Twitter account for that company, like for the dev studio for that, and I like wrote them like a nice lengthy tweet, and and they responded to me in a DM, and they were really kind.
That's
They're
amazing.
great. It was great people. I can't really say enough. Like I can't speak highly enough for a lot of these games that we played.
Mm.
Um, and it's just like you said, it's a fun thing where I never know what I'm gonna play. I don't know what I'm gonna play usually until like 10 minutes before I start.
That's
So
it's great though. It's what we love about you. So what? Just final question, really. So what
sure.
advice would you give to anyone that might be thinking about streaming?
So I think one of the most important things that I learned, um, and it's kind of like contradictory to I think what a lot of other people are going to say, is that while networking is important, networking with the right people is important.
Hmm.
And I don't mean only network with people who are successful.
Hmm.
I mean network with people who have shared interests.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between like follow for follows, and like that's not networking in my opinion. That's boosting numbers on a false pretense of like, hey, I'll follow you if you follow me. It's like that's fine. You can see someone with 1,000 followers that only gets 5 views
Yeah.
because they also follow 1,000 other people. But not getting discouraged is the biggest thing. Finding one or two of your friends who are okay with opening your stream up. It, once you break through that like two viewer wall, it's you're set.
Mm.
Once you once you're out of the two viewer wall, I feel like it becomes much more easy to get a natural rhythm to what you're doing and how you can act and how you can respond. And like I said, networking is good. You have to be careful with who you network with because their intentions might not be the same.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
I've definitely had people who I've made friends with, or I thought I made friends with, and then I found out just from like looking at other things, it's like, oh well, they're friends with me, and then I went and I was like, okay, I'll follow them back and participate in their channel a bunch, participate in their Discord a bunch, only to find out that they unfollowed my channel, they left my Discord, and it's
Oh, right.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, being used isn't fun and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So being genuine is always going to be your best option,
Yes.
especially with networking. And that's like I said earlier, the people that I met through you and Sue and Matt and all the other communities that I'm a part of, I really like you're all people that I value, and being here, like you inviting me to do this is a huge, like you messaged me and I was grinning like ear to ear. Like this is such an exciting thing for me to do.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
happy you've done it.
I do I appreciate it, and um I just like I said, it's we were talking a little bit before about just being really like eager to work with other people that we look up to, and like I said, you're definitely one of the other content creators that I really like kind of wanna I compare a lot of my stuff against. Like, okay, let's see what can we do to get us on par with what Johnny Beard's got cooking. Not in a competitive way, but in like a what can I learn from his streaming like stuff that he's done. Like how can I learn from that? And that's
Yeah.
It's important to learn from people.
Yeah, absolutely. We all build each other up. That's the way I see it.
100%.
We don't knock people down. We build each other up. I don't see it as competitiveness. I see it as, these are great people. These are people I really want to build gaming relationships with,
Sure.
and learn from them. They can learn from me. We can all grow together. That's the way I see
Absolutely. And like there's some people who I've met through streams that like I might not be able to hang out in their streams a bunch, but like just due to time or constraint, like Charlie, I love his streams.
Yeah.
We stream at very similar times, so I've often only can catch 10, 15 minutes of his content, but I try to at least keep an eye on like in his Discord and try to like, hey, look, I'm I'm not dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's good to make friends that are good friends.
100%.
I want to get that on like a tapestry.
Yeah. Right, Pants. Thank you so much. It was such an amazing chat. I don't know if you realised, but it's been over an hour. That's whoopsie daisy. But no, that was a great chat and
an absolute pleasure. And again, thank you for inviting me to do this with you.
No, thanks for accepting. And everyone, please give Pants a follow. He's on Twitch, of course. Are you on anything else? Have you got a Discord? Have you got Twitter?
Outside Discord, I have Twitter. Twitter's just bad takes and go lives. So that's about it. Twitch is the best way to really get to me. But I'm in every Discord that's ever been made, essentially. So
Yeah.
anyone's more than welcome to come seek me out if they need me for anything or want to talk or want to know where I got this shirt or how to grow a good mustache.
Great shirt. Right, that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you so much. Right, until the next one, guys. All the best. Take care. Bye bye.